Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS!
Hit the brakes!
It's my day of redemption. Fell on my knees and prayed. It's my day of redemption. My baby's gone away. I can't afford to leave. Lord, I can't afford to stay. It's my day of redemption. Was blind, but now I see. There's no need for condescension. The truth has set me free. When I got through losing you, there was nothing left to say. Redemption came around the minute that you walked away. I tried to give you loving, but your heart was like a cold, cold stone. Girl, I guess you'll find that I ain't got the time. I'll get the last laugh. I'm never gonna take you back. That's a fact. I tried to give you loving, but your heart was like a cold, cold stone. Girl, I know you're fine. I gave you my last time, but I'll give the last laugh. Never gonna take you back. I'm getting high on redemption. Ain't never coming down. Free from all your bad intentions. Was lost, but now I'm found. With the light there comes a promise that no lie can turn away. It's not for me to worry about the games you need to play. No need to say you're sorry. There's no need to be. Leaving just might be the best thing you ever did for me. I'm moving on without you, Lord. That's the way it's gotta be.
Hello, my name is Timothy Thomas, owner of East Texas Foundation Repair, located right here in Longview, Texas. If you think you're having foundation problems with your concrete slab or pier and beam home, if you're seeing cracked brick, slanted floors, cracks in your sheetrock, doors not latching or sticking or not closing properly, you may have a problem. Please contact us at 903-918-3409. You can also look us up online at EastTexasFoundationRepair.com. We also offer drainage and waterproofing also. Again, Timothy Thomas, EastTexasFoundationRepair.com. Thank you, East Texas, for your ongoing business.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another brand new episode of the ETX ROCKS Show with Boston Chris. Guys, we are super excited this week. We have a legendary guitar player, really an icon in rock and roll and blues in the East Texas and DFW areas. everybody around here knows who this guy is. And of course, I'm sitting here with my beautiful producer this week. She's going to help us co-host and ask some questions as well. And for those of you out there who've been following us on social media, you know that we're talking about the one and only Donnie Pendleton, who is currently with the Alan Fox Band. Donnie, say hello.
Hi, y'all. How you doing, East Texas?
So Donnie's been around for a minute, y'all. I mean, if you go on YouTube, you can look up just about any one of his bands, and there's at least a video on there. I strongly suggest the Cause video on there. I think the name of the song is No Way. And if you guys want to see, Donnie was telling me outside that he had an Aquanet endorsement, which is not true, but he should have.
No, I believe it. I saw the hair.
And to be honest, you know, back in the mid-'80s, I think it was the mid-'80s when that song came out.
It was about 1987.
Okay, and I remember I was probably 11 at the time, living in Massachusetts. I remember that song.
Really?
Yes, I remember seeing that on VH1 and MTV, and I was huge into what they call glam rock or hair metal or whatever. You know, there were different terminology for it, but yeah, I completely remember the song, and you know, just being a young kid.
Yeah.
So,
you know what'll get you kicked out of a hair band?
What's that?
Lift
Baldness?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's true anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
So I guess at 9 years old, you first learned guitar while your mom sang in a well-known country band, and this was out in West Texas. So you had the opportunity to grow up around legends such as Bob Wills and Ernest Tubb, folks like that. So was your mom your first main musical influence?
My grandparents were entertainers as well, and my uncle, both my uncles actually, and they had a TV show back in the 50s, and they were actually, my grandfather was pretty responsible for Waylon Jennings getting his start.
Wow.
And you know, it was a simpler time back then, and they were all working around with the guys like the Buddy Holly Band and stuff like that. So
this goes way back.
It goes way back,
you.
yes.
So I mean, you were destined to be a musician almost.
Yeah, that's the way I like to look at it.
All right, so your mom would bring you on stage for guest appearances. What was that experience like at such a young age?
Oh, it was a rush. It was cooler than anything. We played. I got to play Johnny Be Good in Kansas City. I'm going to Kansas City.
And how old were you around this time?
I guess I was in junior high school.
Wow.
By this time, yeah.
So
I started when I was 9, but I don't know. I might have. Yeah, I guess junior high school.
That's crazy.
A long time ago.
I was still watching cartoons. I can't imagine even knowing how to play guitar at 9
I was
years old.
playing with Hot Wheels.
I was getting spanked with Hot Wheels track.
Oh, no.
So you won your first talent show, and soon you're playing with an all-kid band all over Texas, you know, hitting the festival circuit and Six Flags and places like that. During this time, you were also introduced to your passion, which is rock and roll music. So tell us what rock and roll did for you that other genres couldn't do for you at that time.
It let me express myself a little more freely. You know, it was wild and woolly. You know,
Yeah.
compared to the structure that, like, you know, when I played with Stacy Fowle and her band, and she was an 8-year-old girl singer. She was Little Miss Country Music USA, and we played Six Flags and Seven Seas, which ended up being SeaWorld later,
Right.
and I think it's Ranger Stadium now.
Yeah.
But we played stuff like that, and playing some rock and roll kind of let me loose, you know, let me.
So I mean, as a young musician, your career. I mean, I don't know if you can call it a career at that time, but I mean, your music is already progressing from one step to another. So I mean, was there strategy involved in that, or did it just come about?
There was no strategy at all. It was a matter of experience. You know, growing up, experiencing new things. You know, all my friends were listening to rock and roll, and I was playing country songs. You know, and they're like, well, you need to turn on to some Kiss. You know, you need to
Yeah.
check out some Frank Marino. You know, and so I did.
Well, a lot of musicians struggle with their identity for quite some time after they break out. You think that starting at such a young age and getting that exposure, getting that experience, kind of helped you with that? That maybe by the time you were a mature adult, you already kind of found your groove? When other
I think
people
it
were
took a
still
long
searching?
time for me to find myself musically. You know, I mean, everybody plays. You know, you go out and you play. When I first moved to Longview, which was 1990, and I was playing with a band called Foreplay, and we were just a cover band. And you know, the cool thing about cover bands is you play the stuff you like to play, and that kind of helps drive you. You know, it helps your influences grow.
Right.
And it's just a growing thing, you know.
Speaking of influences, do you think your influences have changed over the years?
A little bit. You know, I'm always watching for the next cool guitarist to come out,
Right.
and I'm always searching for good music that's fresh and innovative in one way or another. So I'm a big fan of anybody from Tommy Emmanuel to David Gilmour.
Right.
You know.
And I know, you know, as an icon in East Texas, I know you won't say that. That's me saying that. But I mean, you've had a hand in either directly or indirectly mentoring some of the, you know, more well-known guitar players in the area, including Lance Lopez, who counts you as a mentor. So what does that feel like to have somebody that's so talented that looks up to you the same way you look up to David Gilmour?
Well, maybe he looks at me as a what not to do situation. No, man, I think just being around, you know, and being out where people can see you play is important, and it does lend to influencing somebody.
Right.
You know, and I think that's a good thing. It's always positive. And when it's somebody like Lance Lopez or Wes Jeans says that,
Yeah, Wes as well.
it gives me the goosebumps, man.
Absolutely, but it's well deserved. I mean, again, I'm a huge Donnie Pendleton fan. This is a real thrill to me. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
So we'll get back, you know, to your earlier days. In high school, you started a band called Cobalt. So now you're on the periodic table, which is always a good thing. And you started playing slightly different venues. Now you're doing parties and clubs and bars and restaurants, things like that. I mean, up until this time, you've been doing fairs and festivals and with a kid band. So which did you enjoy more?
Well, I enjoyed playing the State Fair of Texas with Stacy File and Mike Freed and Kevin and all the guys in that band. You know, it was Cobalt was not as structured. You know, when I was with Stacy, there was band mothers. You know,
Right,
because we were all kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had to get rides to our shows and had to do what they said. We had to dress alike, and we had to play the way the song's supposed to be. And then when I got in Cobalt, it's like, dude, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
It was like taking the reins off. Huh?
Yeah, and making tons of mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, you put that in your bio too. It's like, you know, we weren't good.
All right. Well, in the early 80s, you were in the Dallas music scene, and as your confidence level grew, you started reaching out to better known bands. Tell us what opportunity came out of that persistence.
I got to open for some pretty big groups back then. You know, I've gotten to open for bands like Pat Travers, Robin Trower, Molly Hatchet, you know, and I got to experience the reality of the music scene in Texas, and it was really, it was eye-opening, and it was scary, you know.
And we definitely prettied up that language. On the bio it says Donnie pestered the bigger bands.
Yeah.
So we went with persistence instead of pestering.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but so I mean, were you were trying at this time really to just try to sit in with any band that would let
Just
you?
anybody who would let me, and I mean, it didn't matter what kind of music. And actually, when I was younger, my dad would take me. My dad lived down in New Orleans, and I would go see him whenever school was out or Christmas vacation or whatever. And he would take me into bars, you know, when I'm like 14 years old. And he'd go up to the band. He said, you got to hear my son play guitar. You know, it's like, really? He said, let him get up there with you. And they're like, oh, no, not another one, you know?
So that's pretty cool. I mean, your mom was a huge influence in being in that country band, and now your dad is really supporting the heck out of you and trying to open doors for you, too. So you had a really huge support system behind you.
Yeah, I think it was just a novelty of being young and being able to get through a song.
Right.
You know.
So, I mean, when you're trying to, you know, reach out to these bigger bands and sit in with anybody you could, were you doing that only because you just wanted to play? You had that huge passion? Or, again, was there a strategy involved where you're trying to get your name noticed as well?
There is no strategy whatsoever. I love playing music, and it doesn't matter with who, where it is, when it is, you know. It just, it never matters.
And I mean, even to this day, you still do that. I mean, anywhere that'll have you, you'll sit in. I mean, tonight, for example, you know, you're living in DFW area now. We're sitting in Kilgore, and you're doing a reunion show tonight with Ride or Drive, which was Mom's biker bar house band at one time, right?
We did the Sunday Jam for a long time over there.
Right.
I actually did the Sunday Jam at Mom's for about 10 years, and I was in 3 different bands during that time. And Ride or Drive was one of them, and it had some great players and had some really special moments, you know.
And even, I mean, you live in the Arlington area?
I live West Fort Worth, actually, Eagle Mountain Lake.
Yeah, I mean, following you on Facebook is the same thing. You're playing everywhere you can. Just still have that passion.
I love to make guest appearances, you know, for several reasons. One is I don't have to wait till the end of the night to load my gear. But yeah, I have a strong passion for playing. You know, I got a lot of friends that have just, you know, we'll have cookouts and stuff, and all the musicians will get together and we just do some porch picking, and you know, that's special.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
All right. Well, we'll get back to your band, The Cause, that we've already talked about. In the mid '80s, that band, you guys signed with USA Records International. And you released an album that sold 60,000 copies in less than 8 weeks. Wow, that's pretty awesome. You had videos on MTV and VH1, and you started touring nationally. What was it like for you to go from being just kind of a regional act into this, you know, national recognition, this fame?
I had to learn how to act. I had to learn how to pace myself, you know. There for a little while, I was pretty much the poster child for hard living, and I had to learn how to deal with it, you know, and how to remain sober through the whole gig, you know.
Easier said than done.
Right at first it was,
yeah.
You know, it was pretty tough there for a while. You know, I was out with some guys that were 10 years older than me, and they liked to party hard and have fun, and you know, and I tried to stay right there with them.
I was gonna say, you know, it seems like that kind of comes with the territory with a lot of these major bands.
It comes with the club business, playing in the bars all the time. You know, you got friends that come out and say, "Well, I'll buy you a shot." You know,
and it's hard to say no to that. You know,
I mean,
you don't want
it's
to
almost
offend
rude.
anybody, right?
It's almost rude. You know,
exactly.
And then they buy you tequila, and you're like, well, I don't drink tequila.
But you do tonight. I mean, would you say when you go from regional to national, that fast lane is even quicker, and that's part of it?
I think traveling around, it got to be a point of, well, you know, like, well, where's those people that like to party, you know, that we saw the last time we were here,
right?
You know, and you just kind of get caught up in the whole party aspect of it to try to numb the feeling of the fact you're really not making any money.
Right.
And, you know, it's one of those things. It's a terrible demon to deal with, and I'm happy I'm past it.
It's like that old saying says, you know, you load your $500 car with $5,000 worth of equipment to play a $50 gig.
That's right. Living lean. Living very lean. And it's hard, you know, it's hard for anybody to do it for a long period of time. And I think somewhere in the 90s, in the late 90s, I realized it, you know, and realized that there's a lot more to music if I will get my perspective right, you know, and I quit worrying about the money aspect of it, and I straightened up.
You started really looking at the creative side of things.
And the blessings started happening immediately.
Well, I think listeners and fans, they tend to have this perception that if you're on the radio, you're being heard all over the country, and if you're being seen in music videos, definitely that you've gotten to that point of the glamour and the money where if you're on TV, you must be making all kinds of money for what
it's
you're
a little
doing.
misleading, the difference in working your tail off trying to be recognized and soaking up the glamour of the rock and roll lifestyle. You know, it's whenever we were in Los Angeles and doing the music awards and stuff, it was really cool to be recognized in such a large group of players, you know, to even be nominated.
Mm-hmm.
But the fame doesn't always come with the fortune, does it?
No, man. And you look at, you know, I've known a lot of players. I know some great players who've been all over the world who have the $500 car, you know, and have one guitar to play, and you know, it's just kind of an eye-opening experience, you know.
Right. And I think people just don't realize that, you know, they think, well, I recognize him, so he must be successful, you know, and it's not always the case. I mean, so.
It's about a passion for what you love, and that's number one, you know. To me, it is. You know, I've been poor all my life. The money don't mean crap to me.
But yeah, people will remember who Donnie Pendleton is, though, and that's what matters, I think. So not long after, you know, starting with the Cause and all of that, you switched bands. Not only did you switch bands, you switched instruments too. You went from guitar with the Cause to bass with Rafferty Rule. So what motivated this change?
Money.
What a great segue that was, right? And I had no idea that was the answer, but it works out.
It was very much the answer. I was starving to death, living on the road. Vicky and I were sharing a house with a friend, and our kids were living with Vicky's parents, you know, and they were trying to give me the opportunity to seek out, you know, my passion in life, and all that's great, you know, but it wasn't paying the bills.
Right.
I was traveling all over the country and making the same amount of money I would make if I was playing Moms on Sunday.
Right, exactly.
You know?
So you've always been kind of all in with the music, haven't you?
Always.
Yeah. So, I mean, around this time with Rafferty Rule, you were also asked to start producing acts. So tell us the challenges you faced on that side of the industry, and name some of the folks you might have worked with.
I got to co-produce a band called Chastity, which was a young band, and they were out of Fort Worth, and they just needed a little bit of direction in the studio, so I was kind of their mentor on that, and we are still friends today, and love those guys to death. You know, they had a great record, and it was back in the 80s as well. And then I also was involved with a band called Sly Wolf, which one of the guitar player, Michael Scott Anist, is actually in a big Christian band now, and doing really, really well living up in Michigan.
Awesome.
And,
so was there some apprehension jumping to this side of the microphone?
no, it was actually to experience, you know, different levels, I guess, different perspectives of the same thing. You know, you got to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. It's nice to be in a band but not be in a band. You know, you don't have to deal with their girlfriend problems or their drug addiction or whatever it may be. You know, whatever may haunt that particular band. It's like, well, when we're done with this record, I don't have to see them again. You know.
It's like having somebody else's kids over. You can always send them home and not have to worry about it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Ricky Lynn Gregg was a rocker at this time, and he switched over to country, and that opened up an opportunity for you.
Yes, it did.
Why don't you tell us about that?
When Ricky got signed with Liberty Records, he had a band down here, which was Marty Arpter. I don't know if you know Marty. He was the drummer for Perfect Stranger for a while.
Okay, yeah.
And he plays in Shinebox, or he did. I don't know if he still does or not. But it was with him, R.J. Jones from Savvy out of Fort Worth, and Joel Parks. from Ricky Lynn Project and from Head East. Well, they were all in the band with Ricky, and when they were doing rock and roll stuff, and everything was groovy. When Ricky got his country record deal, well, he changed his team up. So those guys asked me if I would be interested in working with them, and they already had gigs and all that stuff, and I drove down here for a year before I committed to staying in the band, you know, but I loved every minute of it. We were working 3 and 4 nights a week.
Was that here in East Texas, or?
Yes.
Because I know Joel is still around here.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, and Joel and Ricky were in Head East together. And then Brian Kelly, who was also in Foreplay, was in Head East with them.
So Foreplay ended up becoming U.S. Lords.
Yes.
And you guys can check that out on YouTube if you haven't. Awesome hair. Just saying. And you guys opened for bands like Aldo Nova and Starship and Kansas and a bunch of other really well-known bands. You guys are winning every single competition you guys are entering, Battle of the Bands and things like that. And now endorsements are coming in for Donnie Pendleton.
I got endorsed by Jackson Guitars right about that time.
So what do you think you owe the success to this? I mean, do you think you owe the success with this band to your prior experience, or?
I think that my experience with that band was very good. It was another situation where we got to be what we wanted to be, and we started writing songs, and we'd do big shows, you know.
Mm.
Aldo Nova was a great show,
Right.
and it was over at the Lavoisier Hotel, I think, at a place called Stars, big room, you know, 1,500 people or something. It was packed.
And this was like mid-'90s, so you guys are, I mean, you're still kind of rocking that almost like a Guns N' Roses kind of feel.
Very, very much so, yeah.
Yeah. So, and so now you're in East Texas. So tell us how you got to be here.
Well, just working with all those guys ended up bringing me to this area, and Vicky and I were having our third and last child, who actually lives in Longview still, and we found that this was a place we wanted to settle down, you know, and it's a good place to raise kids, and I loved East Texas and still do, you know. It's just it's a kind of the perfect place for me.
And so, I mean, you started a studio here in East Texas as well, and so what was that experience like?
That was a big learning curve for me. We had won a Battle of the Bands when I was in U.S. Lords, and I got a recording system, and I liked it, and I ended up getting me a little building to work out of, and started acquiring more and more equipment and stuff, and then started working with other bands, and found that I really, really like the building of songs.
Like the nuts and bolts of stuff.
Yeah. And I have a great appreciation for the architecture of putting that stuff together.
All right. Well, when did you meet the legendary Alan Fox?
That's a funny story.
And right now, Alan is out there laughing because you called him legendary.
Alan, you are legendary.
Alan is legendary.
Absolutely.
I know who you were before I knew you.
Alan and I was actually playing in Ryder Drive at Mom's, and Ryder Drive was trying to do more country stuff than I was interested in, and they got,
because you were away from your passion, which again is rock and roll.
You know, and it was a very big discovery for me, because playing to make money, you know, to be a full-time musician, you kind of got to do whatever you got to do. You know, if it means playing country songs to pay your electric bill or whatever, you know, that's one thing, but it was just never for me. And anyway, we used to play Mom's a lot, and I would I'd quit playing with Bobby Clare and them because they were pursuing this other avenue, and which I can't blame them for that, you know.
Right.
We're still very good friends for it. But the bikers at Mom's Biker Bar, there was a hog roast going on, and the Alan Fox band was going to be playing there. And I don't know if you know who the UMF are.
Absolutely. They made my dad an honorary member.
There you
my
go.
dad passed away in 2013, but he was really proud of that.
Yeah.
He had the little business card and everything. He said honorary UMF, and I can't obviously say what that stands for.
Right.
He thought he was perfect for it. So.
Well, the Uglies, they told Alan Fox Band, or they told Alan Fox, look, y'all are going to be playing the Hog Roast, and Donnie Pendleton's going to be playing with y'all, and I hope you don't mind, and you don't have to worry about paying him because we're going to pay him. And I have been in that band ever since.
That is really cool. And for those folks out there that may not know what Mom's is and was, Mom's Biker Bar was kind of an iconic place for especially starving musicians to go and play, first of all, but also to network and meet each other. Do you feel like that might be missing in East Texas a little bit now?
It is now, yes.
Because I know, this Mom's was really happening before I really got into the business, but I knew about Mom's. It was, kind of close to my house, and we'd go out there and check out the jam from time to time. And it does feel like that ingredient is kind of missing in the area.
That place used to scare me to death. Playing out there, like I'd go out there like, oh my goodness, I don't want to play out here.
And all the bras on the ceiling and everything.
The people, they look intimidating.
Right.
Those are
the biggest sweethearts
some
in
of
the world. Yeah.
Most wonderful people I've ever met in my life,
Yeah.
and I would do anything for any of them. And most of those people out there were war veterans, and nobody takes that into consideration.
That's
whenever you look at a big burly biker guy, you think he's a troublemaker. You don't realize that he fought for our country.
Yep, and it's usually very true. So you've been recognized both locally and nationally, winning 2012 Guitarist of the Year at the East Texas Music Awards, and then in the very next year winning Guitarist of the Year from the Los Angeles Music Awards. So what do these accolades mean to Donnie Pendleton?
It's a nice. The accolade itself is a nice thing in my timeline of life. You know what I mean? It's a milestone, and it was the East Texas Music Awards. I had moved away, but I was still very busy down here. And to even be nominated was just amazing. And then to actually 2012 to receive the award was amazing. The Los Angeles Music Awards were pretty much, they were ignited in my direction because of the East Texas Music Awards.
Really?
Yes.
And then this year, you guys, the band, Alan Fox Band, you guys won an award at the Josies in Nashville as well.
Yes.
What was that, for vocal group or rock band?
That was Classic Rock Band.
Yeah.
Of the year.
And those awards are really difficult. First of all, to get nominated, and second of all, to win an award at the Josies is just incredible. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, Josie is doing an incredible thing. This is a lady from Chicago who just decided to start an award show. And it's taken the nation by storm. If you haven't heard of her yet, you will very, very shortly. And of course, Donnie was also nominated for Lifetime Achievement Award this year at the 2016 East Texas Music Awards. Very well deserving, with some incredible musicians in that category, including Uncle Dallas this year. So what is it like to be nominated for your whole body of work?
It was humbling, to say the least. It was hard to believe that I was in a category with people like Neil McCoy,
right,
and Uncle Dallas. I can remember when I first moved to Longview, I remember Neil McCoy playing at Canton's on Sundays. He would run an ad in the Thrifty.
Was that the place over on 80 near Hallsville, by the Elks Lodge?
Yes.
I remember that place.
And he used to play there. He'd do an acoustic thing there every Sunday, and he painted houses for a day gig. And this was in the early 90s, and then it wasn't much longer. He's entertainer of the year,
right?
And they got big signs, home of Neil McCoy and stuff, and to even be included in a category with people like that and Lance Lopez, and it blew me away.
Yeah, the category was stacked this year for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really cool for us on our side of the awards to see that the fans actually recognize who deserves these things when they do it right. You know, I mean, obviously we can't tell the fans who to vote for, but it's always reassuring when the fans recognize people that deserve to be recognized. You know, it doesn't always happen, but you know, it's nice to see when it does.
Yes, and Alan Fox Band definitely has deserved the recognition that they have. Well, how long have you been performing with the Alan Fox Band?
This October makes my 11th year.
Wow.
And
is that the longest you've ever been with one band?
No, I was with U.S. Lords for 13 years.
Okay.
And but you know, this band to me, I think it's the best record I've ever done. And I've been on I've participated or been involved in over 14 albums, you know, in my life. So this to me is the best record I've ever.
It's unbelievable, really. Honest to God, it's probably our favorite record. I know we say that a lot, but my favorite song is Moonshine.
Yeah,
I love the song. And you guys' harmonies are just out of this world for 4 guys. I mean, I know Terry's not involved in the harmonies, but when you guys are all front and center on stage and you all have a microphone in front of you, and I mean, you're all the legendary gray-haired guys, and that harmony comes out, and it's like, what? You know? And Greg will always kind of mess with me. He'd be like, yeah, we did that. Yep, yeah. That's us. So.
How did all of you guys come to be together? Because getting a chemistry like that doesn't just come out of the box. You don't just find a random bass player or a drummer and you just throw something together and make magic like that.
Well, there's been in the lifetime of the Alan Fox Band, there have been several players along the way, and you know, I've worked with Donnie Hart on and off. Donnie Hart was in U.S. Lords. And
really?
Yes.
Wow.
Donnie used to live in Marshall.
I'm going to have to watch that video again now. Was he the vocalist in U.S. Lords?
Now, there's some stuff that had Gary St. Kelly in it.
Okay.
But he ended up replacing Gary. And Gary was from Houston. And we just didn't gel very well.
Right.
You know, didn't get along very well. And but Donnie Hart, I've been working with him for 20 plus years now.
I was going to say, you guys must go really, really far back.
We've written a lot of songs together, and I brought him into the band. He's actually the last person who's been brought into this band.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had different bass players, different drummers, and it's just playing the bar gigs all the time, you know, and it's like somebody decides that they can't hang, you know, then
right.
You find somebody else, and then.
And this incantation has been together, I think, 2010, right? I think that's what they told us on their when the rhythm section was on the show.
Yes, with Donnie Hart. Yes.
Yeah. So I know that 3 of the guys still live here in East Texas, and even the 3 guys in East Texas are kind of spread out. But then you and Donnie live in the DFW area, so you guys don't really do a whole lot of shows anymore. And there's actually, you said earlier, there's not any strategy with Donnie Pendleton, but there is a strategy when it comes to you guys not performing as many shows. Can you tell the folks out there what that strategy is?
Well, whenever we started playing festivals and stuff, you know, the promoters would say, well, why should I hire you to play my festival that I'm going to charge $15 a head to get in to when people can go see you for free on Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and plus we wanted to play original music. We wanted to play our own stuff. That is the best avenue to go down. You know, in the bar, when you're in the bars all the time, you're going to be playing cover songs, you know, unless you're the Grateful Dead or somebody like that who can play original songs for 3 or 4 hours, you know. And we really enjoy playing for all ages, you know, playing for not just one demographic of people, not just your drinkers, not just your nightclub following.
And not only that, I mean, when you guys do play a show, it means that much more. And people know, hey, you know, I better go out there and see them because we may not get to see them again for the next 3 or 4 months. So it's like that exclusivity factor to the shows as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, but the thing of it is we are, now that the album's done, we're actually working.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to go to work now that the album's
Yes.
out.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited.
Well, going back to the chemistry that you guys have as a band, we were talking about the harmonies on the album, and something that really caught my attention the first time I saw you guys perform live was those harmonies don't have to be cut and pieced together in a studio. That when you guys are out there with the microphone in front of you playing a live gig, that same consistency, that same connectiveness just comes right through. It was a high energy performance.
And I got to say, for you
really
folks out
impressed.
there, the first time Louise saw these guys was at Rock the Vote at
Was it Rock the
Timmy's.
Lone Star School of Music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in this tunnel room really, and the first time seeing Alan Fox Band in that kind of atmosphere where there's maybe 25 people there. The first time I saw you guys was at a grand opening of a stereo store in Longview.
Right.
If you remember that.
I do remember.
But that was outdoors, and it was a bunch of people there.
Right.
So my first experience and her first experience completely different.
Yeah, and we weren't really pushing songs from the album at
Right.
that particular time. We were still just trying to play a little bit and not let it interfere with what we were really trying to do.
All right, so we have a segment on our show, and I did not inform Donnie of this, so he has no clue what's fixing to happen. But this segment is called Rapid Fire. And the way this works is we have 10 questions. It's basically an either-or situation. You have to choose one of two answers. You have 90 seconds to answer. And if you don't, the floor will turn to lava. So it's very important that you answer in 90 seconds.
It's hot.
Yes. So this is Rapid Fire with Donnie Pendleton. All right, number one, would you rather have Starbucks or Folgers in your cup?
Starbucks.
All right, would you rather be the best in the world at something of your choosing, or would you rather live forever?
I would rather live forever.
Would you rather give a lap dance to Taylor Swift, or would you rather get parental advice from Joe Jackson?
Oh my goodness. I'm not much of a lap dancer, but I think I'd have to give that a shot.
All right, you can only listen to one song for the rest of your life. What is it?
Golly. I Know a Little by Leonard Skinner.
Awesome. All right, so you can either cut off one of your fingers or pay $5,000 to the person you dislike the most so they can go on vacation.
I'd pay the $5,000.
Guitar player. Would you rather listen to Eddie Van Halen or Chet Atkins? Two awesome guitar
Chet
players.
Atkins, hands down.
All right, would you rather be the famous writer of the Twilight books or the famous writer of all the Nickelback songs?
You know what? I guess I'm going to have to go with the Twilight books.
That's awesome. All right, would you rather Netflix or DVDs?
Netflix.
Okay. Would you rather gain 50 pounds or be banned from playing music for a month?
I'd rather be fat and sassy, sir.
All right, Freddie King or BB King?
BB King.
Awesome. That's Rapid Fire with the legendary Donnie Pendleton. So tell us about the album, Cold Black Sky. I know the rhythm section when they were on the show talked about the album some, but we'd love to hear your take on the album, and where can folks find it?
You can get our album if you go to alanfoxband.com. There's a link there. Or you can go to mesquitestreetrecords.com and get it there. Or you can get it at all Amazon, iTunes, any of that stuff.
So they do have digital copies out there, and are the links working now for the?
All the
physical
links are
copies?
working. Yeah.
That was a kind of a freak thing. That was because of the hurricane, right?
The hurricane had a lot to do with it, and then the day that it all got up and running, the cyber attacks happened.
Yeah, so they were really trying to stop this record from getting out there. I'll tell you what.
It's like I was talking to my record execs. I said, Amazon, Twitter's down, and Alan Fox Band.
You guys broke the internet.
I know.
Make sure you check out the T-shirts when you go in there to check out the album.
Oh man, these T-shirts are probably the best band T-shirts I've seen. I have to have one.
I have to have some.
No,
I
I'm
need
first.
one.
So as far as social media goes, where can folks find you and the Alan Fox Band?
Facebook and Twitter both. We're pretty much on all.
I think
Reverb
Facebook
Nation.
is AFB, the Alan Fox Band.
Yes, sir.
And then I think Twitter is just Alan Fox Band.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's AlanFoxBand.com as well.
Yes.
So you guys make sure you check all of that out there. Once again, we want to thank Donnie for his time. He's performing a reunion show tonight in Kilgore. Hopefully we can come out for a set. Hopefully we also have a show to go to in Longview. But so you guys make sure you follow them on Twitter. Please like their page on Facebook. And this album is unbelievable. If you're a fan of rock and blues and just all different kinds of genres and styles of rock too. I mean, there's some mid-'80s glam in there, and there's some 90s little more heavy metal in there. But there's also the harmonies, and just it's incredible how everything blends together.
And if you're not a fan of rock or blues or any of those genres, you're probably still going to like it.
Absolutely. So is there, as a legendary, experienced musician as you are, do you have any advice for folks out there that might be getting into the business, outside of just saying don't do it?
I would say follow your heart and be yourself.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have to live with yourself from now on, so you might as well be what you're gonna be and be good at it.
Once again, this has been another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show with the legendary one and only Donnie Pendleton. You guys out there, remember to keep on supporting local music and
ETX rocks.
Hey, Nathan Honeycutt here with ETX Music. ETX's Got Talent is coming to the Gladewater Opry November 15th, and we want you to be a part of it. The winners will be sent to Austin on November 18th to meet directly with the producers. This is not the day of the general auditions, which is the following day. This isn't the same thing as the front of the line pass because there will be no line on the 18th. The winners of ETX Music's Got Talent will go straight into the top producers. End of story. That is where the rubber meets the road. This is a great opportunity. Go to etxmusic.com and check it out. ETX Music's Got Talent. We have partnered with America's Got Talent and NBC Universal, and we hope to see you there at the Gladewater Opry on November 15th.
This is Katie Kennedy, the owner of the Liberty Bell located in historic downtown Nacogdoches. We would like to invite you to come on down for our live music, our extensive menu, including our brunch menu available on the weekends, and excellent service. We're open every day of the week except for Monday. We've got live music every day and drink specials. So we'd love to see you in Nacogdoches. Come on down, tell them Katie sent you.
we are ETX ROCKS!